all you can and you're running with kings. But how far could you go if you run with the wind? And the chances you take are what give you wings, and you can fly.
Welcome back to Consider Civility. I'm with Kent Roberts, co-founder of the Civility Center, and today I'm asking Kent to speak a little bit more about some of the content in one of the books that he co-wrote, this one called Bring a Dish to Pass. And you can get that book on Amazon, or you can get in touch with us, events at civilityexperts.com if you're interested in bulk copies, and we can get those for you. And if you review the book and you're interested in having Kent do either a Zoom event for you or come out and speak with your team, again, just email us, events@civilityexperts.com. So Kent, in Bring a Dish to Pass, you said that civility means placing the community's interests before your own. It is the most important building block for the trusting relationships that make community improvement possible. I'm interested in having you explain this for us a little bit. For example, the suggestion that trust amidst varied interests is critical. And I'm wondering, can you really build trust, for example, the way things are in our political climate and communities these days and under these circumstances? And I think it'll really help our listeners to hear your perspective on that.
Well, there's this question of why. Why would we just want to make the community better? And we really have to be able to answer that question. What's improvement? And are we really vested in improvement? Do we want improvement? And a lot of people want to point to it, but are they willing to actually say, no, this is what we really need. If we don't do this, we're not going to survive. Or we can again use the word thrive if we build these stronger trusting relationships. I'll use the example to begin with by stating that the ability to do work of value is in direct correlation to the quality of the relationship or the connection or level of trust, however you really want to say it. I like the word connection because it is a little harder, and some people think that relationship is too soft, or trust, they just kind of get this own picture of, well, I don't know how to do that. But I'm going to use this as an example by saying that if on a scale of 1 to 10, and 1 being low and 10 being very high, you have a level of connectivity of a 1 or 2. The ability of 2 people or a group of people, if that's the connectivity level, that's the only level that you can actually try to work and solve problems from. You cannot have a complex problem and try to solve it in a culture of connectivity of a 1 or 2. It will not work. The trust is not there, and it just will not work. So you have to, again, constantly try to increase your level of connectivity. And now, if you have a level of a 7 or an 8, which is pretty high, you now can be dealing with complex problems. But you may have to you can call it low-hanging fruit, you can call it whatever you want, but you've got to do steps A, B, C, D, and E and build up those trusts. So you have a little idea of what I'm talking about when I'm saying that you got to put this before yourself, because you've got to understand what you're trying to do. Why? Because you want to solve problems. You want things to improve. If you want things to improve, you have to give up of yourself a little bit and be willing to listen and to understand and build up that level of connectivity, which is going to take place. So you must always start with the end in mind. You must always keep the bigger picture in mind. All these things are important. And at the beginning, until the level of connectivity goes out, people can smell out an agenda. It's especially people who have been served by the quote unquote professional experts their whole life. And they have been involved in programming their whole life. They can smell out all these different agendas and all these different ideas. They can tell when someone is being sincere and really wants their input, or when someone is just saying, well, I've been told I got to ask these questions, so I'm going to ask them, but I'm really not probably going to listen. But so the whole idea is making sure that we understand that. Don't, if you try to go in there and say, well, we're just going to kind of fool the people a little bit, people will not be fooled when you're trying to build. They're not going to build with you. They're not going to engage with you unless they know you are sincere, unless you know that you don't have an agenda larger, that is not the overall betterment and improvement of the organization, community, what have you. So it's extremely important that we don't just try to quickly pass something on and think people are going to fall for it. They won't do that. So connectivity, quality of connectivity. How do we engage and build the capacity of higher levels of connectivity? By staying pure to the end, which is just the plain betterment of people, the betterment of society, the betterment of the community, and so on. The how, we can discover that together. If we come in with all the answers, we're skipping all the building blocks that allow us to have something that's really going to have impact.
Good advice. Thank you. I'm speaking with Kent Roberts, co-founder of the Civility Center, and I hope you'll join us on Consider Civility. We're posting interviews with Kent ongoing and talking about civility in the community. Thank you.
The reason why each of us comes to this earth, and your actions will always speak louder than words, and you'll never know what you're capable of until you try.